So a friend of mine just raised $20 million for his company, and one of his investors gave him some advice that applies to every business owner. I don't care how big, how small. If you just started a business, if you have a big business, it's a huge lesson that so many people need to hear. And that is this. This investor pulled him aside after he raised $20 million and said, hey, let me give you a word of advice. And he said, what's up? And he said, do not spend the money fixing problems. The message here is actually so applicable to every business, because if you're a small business, if you just started a business, if you're struggling cash flow wise, things are tight, it actually puts you in a position to be extremely scrappy, because you're forced to sit down and try to figure out how to handle problems, how to grow, how to build your business with limited resources. The challenge is on the other side of that. When you have the extra resources, and then you do what the world tells you to do, which is smart, which is reinvesting in your business to grow it to higher levels. The challenge, though, is oftentimes we will throw money at problems instead of sitting down, doing the hard work of wrestling with a business issue with pen and paper, and write out everything we can think of, what the issue is, what the components of the issue is, what are things that we can try, what have we tried before, do research on how other people have solved this same problem. That critical thinking, you can lose that because you have the resources to just throw money and say, oh, well, I'm gonna spend more money on ads, I'm gonna hire more people. What you do is you end up taking that extra resource, those extra resources, and you start investing in bloat. And next thing you know, your business now requires so much more gasoline to keep it operating, because now you've got new payroll expenses, you got new software expenses, you got new ad expenses, and it doesn't actually fix the problem. What fixes the problem is handling the problem, taking the time doing the hard work as if you didn't have the resources. That's the difficult practice that you've got to encompass and use all the time, is say, man, how would I handle this if I didn't have money to throw at this problem? That's where your solutions are going to come from. It doesn't mean that you don't need to reinvest in your business. It does not mean that you don't need to hire somebody. You're going to have to spend some of those resources on acquiring new assets for your business. But if you throw money at every problem, I guarantee you, you are inevitably pushing that problem further down the field. You're kicking the can. You're going to face that problem again, and you're going to have captured more bloat, and it's going to require more gasoline for your business to run. It's not going to be as efficient. And next thing you know, now you're facing the same problem. Months or even years have gone by. It hasn't solved anything, but the company's gotten fatter and it's consumed more of your resources. So take the time when you're faced with an issue, instead of just throwing money at it, ask yourself those critical thinking questions like, how would I handle this if I didn't have the resources? Go through, do the hard work, sit down with a pen and a piece of paper, a journal, a notepad, and actually go through the problem. Ask yourself the hard questions. Go through the exercise of the different things that you can try, the different things that you can implement that doesn't require a bunch of those resources for you to solve the problem. What this does is it helps you to face the problem head on and use your critical thinking skills without just outsourcing it to some other person or some other product or some other software, hiring people to fix a problem, throwing more money in ad spend. Not that those things are bad. It's that you need to go through the critical thinking exercise first to make sure that you are doing your best as you can to spend those resources on actual things that will grow your business and not just throwing money at problems. Try that out. Let me know how it works. And remember, you're only one strategy away. Bye for now.